What's up, guys? We got Murph tomorrow, so super fun, super exciting workout. We've been training a bunch for it. We've been doing Murph prep for it. But the first thing I'll say is it's just another workout, right? There's going to be some different things going on. Meaning we're going to start with the national anthem. We're going to talk about what Murph is, who Murph was, and what Memorial Day is to CrossFitters. And then there's going to be a ton of different options. So before we get into those options right now, I'm gonna acknowledge the weather. So we're looking at like 45 degrees and rainy, so cold and wet. To stay warm, if you're planning on running, bring a rain jacket and probably a second pair of shoes. I'm gonna use 2 pairs of shoes. I'm gonna run my first mile in pair of shoe number 1. Then I'm gonna get rid of those wet shoes, do my pull-ups, push-ups, air squats in warm, dry shoes, and then I'll finish off my second mile in those same second pair of shoes. That's how I'm going to do it. I'd recommend you do the same for comfort and just a better experience. The other thing is a jacket. I'm probably going to run my first mile in a jacket, try to stay mostly dry, keep my hands dry for the pull-ups. And then after I get through the pull, push, air squat, then let's just get through the second mile because it doesn't matter. It's all done after that. The other thing is if you don't want to be outside running in the rain, you don't have to. There's going to be running substitutes. So let's talk about that first. So there's going to be boxes and assault bikes or bikes in kind of in the center of the gym. And every 25 calories or step-ups is equal to a quarter mile or 400 meters. So depending on your options, you'll use that. So if you're doing 800 meters, you do 50 calories and or step-ups, you can mix and match. If you're doing the 1.0 or the 3/4, you'll do 75 calories or step-ups. If you're doing the full mile for your running, you'll do 100 calories or step-ups. So if you don't want to go outside in the rain, I don't blame you. That's going to be an option tomorrow. Let's talk about the workout in general. Our goal as coaches is for everybody to finish in under an hour. So to do that, we're putting a time cap on this middle section, pull-up, push-up, air squats at 45 minutes on the clock, where regardless of where you're at, we're kicking you out to start your buyout. That can be biking or step-ups or running to ensure that everybody's done under an hour or really close to an hour. No reason you should be doing this for longer than an hour, okay? 0 reason. Besides ego, and there's no room for ego any day. So that's gonna be how we run things. If you have major issues, come talk to me and I'll explain why. Okay, so then the breakdown. If we're thinking about an hour, that means your runs are 10 to 12 minutes, no longer than 15, ideally close to 10. So if you're not running a mile in 10 minutes consistently, you should not consider the 2.0 option or the most challenging. So looking at, let's say 12-minute runs, so 12, that's 24 minutes. That gives you about 25 to 30 minutes to get through your middle portion. So as I'm talking about options, think about where you're at and what you can do and make sure that you're picking the right options. For most of you, the partner version or the half version is going to be just perfect. Just plenty of work for you, especially if it's your first time doing Murph. I would recommend you doing it with a partner or half Murph. It's the exact same. So for the partner is you're both gonna run together. So if you're a good runner, you can up the run, but then you're gonna come in and you're each gonna do 10 rounds of Cindy. That's 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 air squats. So if you and I were partners, I do 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 air squats. While I rest, you do 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 air squats. You'll each do 10 or 20 together, and then you'll run again. Okay. So again, for most people, half Murph, partner Murph can be a great experience. That's where you should be. If you're like, you know what, I'm feeling pretty good about my pull-ups, my push-ups. I want to push myself a little bit. Our 1.0 version is technically a 3/4 Murph, so it's going to be a 1,200 meter run, which means you'll run an 800 and then a 400 again before you start your pull, push up, air squats. And then it's 15 rounds of Cindy. Written as 1.0, again, this is one of our benchmarks, is jumping pull-ups, knee push-ups, and then air squats. So if you're like, you know what, I can do pull-ups and push-ups, then you'll be like a 1.5 version up this middle part, do your kipping pull-ups, do your push-ups on your toes, do your air squats like everybody else, but do 15 rounds. So for some, that 1.0 or 1.0 plus is gonna be good. For few, you're looking at the full Murph. So we got 1 mile, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 air squats, 1 mile. How we do it is breaking it up into rounds of Cindy. So 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, 15 air squats. If you're like, it's not supposed to be partitioned, they did it in the games partition. Check your facts, because when CrossFit first posted this workout, that's who we are. We're CrossFitters, we're not games athletes. It was run a mile, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 air squats, partition as needed. At Salty Hive, we partition as Cindy, so that's how you're gonna do it. 5, 10, 15, 20 rounds, and then head out on your mile. For some of you that are kind of in between and you're choosing this, that's where that time cap's gonna come in. If you're not done with your 1, 2, 300 at 45 minutes, kicking you out the door to start your run. For a handful or so, we're gonna consider wearing a vest. Again, that time cap might come into play for you there. The time cap is for your safety, your longevity. We know what we're doing. We shouldn't be pushing it. You want to minimize any tearing on the hands. We don't want to see any of that. And then with just the high volume of pulling and pushing, just to be honest, this one has a high likelihood of rhabdomyolysis. So we want to avoid any injury, any weird situation going on. Luckily, it's going to be nice and cool for us. So hopefully, when you show up tomorrow, you know which option you're gonna do. You've got a plan. The coach is just gonna be there to confirm that plan. Maybe you're in between, you talk to one of the coaches and they nudge you in the right direction. We're gonna have one head coach leading the hour, so I'll be in charge of the 7:30. Trisha's gonna be in charge of the 9. Samantha's gonna be in charge of the 10:30, but our entire coaching staff is gonna be floating around all day. Each class is going to have 2 extra coaches as spotters. So we're going to be taking care of you. It's going to be a good time. We're going to have tons of pancakes, tons of bacon, tents, kind of filling the whole parking lot to keep people dry, and hopefully you hang out for a while. That's what this is more about, coming together and honoring those who paid the ultimate sacrifice. See you in the morning.